Hello, Professor Toybox here along with Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey, and we'd like to welcome you back to my Fantasia Toy Box for another episode of Toy Box Tutorials. We're working on the interior of the Magician's Castle, and last time I built the drawbridge here that leads into the castle. Today I'm going to build the mechanism that lowers the drawbridge so that Mickey can get inside, and then I'll play through everything that I've built so far so that you can see how it's all coming together. Now right now I've got this button over here hooked up to lower the bridge, but what I really want is for the player to shoot two targets. They have to hit both targets to lower the bridge. That means that instead of using one single control, this button, to lower it, I'm using two controls. Now it's easy to hook up one control to do something. You just make a logic connection from that control to whatever it is you want to invoke. But what do you do when you want to have two controls that invoke something? That brings us to our topic for today's lesson, the dual action trigger. And you'll find this toy in the Creativitoys drawer. And I'm going to place one right out over here like that. And I've already taken the liberty to save a little time of dropping down a target into the alcove on either side of the drawbridge. And we've already covered the target Creativitoy back in episode 8, so I don't feel that I need to revisit that. So let's come over to the dual action trigger and open the logic menu. And if we look under new logic connection, there's one trigger signal that this toy will broadcast, and that is complete. And in order for this to broadcast that signal, it requires two inputs in order to activate it. And so I'm going to cancel out of this. And the way the toy receives those two signals is by a logic connection coming from other toys. And so we'll come over to this target and we'll do a new logic connection when hit. We come to the dual action trigger. You'll see there's three behaviors that you can have this toy do. There's an input 1 and an input 2. These are the two inputs that this toy needs to broadcast the complete signal. And you have to have a toy hooked up to each of these. And then each of those toys needs to be invoked in order to have the input 1 and input 2 received on this toy. And so we're going to hook that first target up to input 1. And then this target, we'll do a new logic connection when hit. We'll come over to the dual action trigger, and that will be input 2. And you'll notice there was a third behavior there, and that was for a reset. So I'm going to come over to my reset button, because we're going to have to test this multiple times. And we're going to hook that up to the reset. And there's another way to do a reset. If you open the logic menu for the dual action trigger and come down to properties, there's one property and it's called auto reset. Excuse me. And so you can have this toy automatically reset itself by turning that on. So once both inputs are received and the complete trigger signal has been broadcast, if this property is on, then it'll automatically reset itself. And if this is off, which I'm going to leave it off, then it requires a signal from another Creativitoy, a logic connection, in order to do the reset. And that's why we hooked this up. And I'm using the button because I only want to use this dual action trigger one time. The player is only going to lower this bridge once. But we're going to, of course, test this a few times here. And the last thing we need to do is hook this dual action trigger up to the bridge. So we'll do a new logic connection. When complete, we'll come over to the drawbridge, and under the toy box path, we'll have it start moving. And there we go. Let's go ahead and give it a try. So we'll come over here. Whoops, almost walked off the edge. And Mickey's going to try to shoot that target. And it looks like it hit. And you can tell that it did because the dual action trigger is flashing. This means it's active, it's received one of its inputs, and it's waiting for the other. And if we come over here, now the toy went off and the bridge is lowering. And there we go. So that worked out pretty good. There's a few little tweaks we can make to this, some improvements. So let's come over here and hit the reset button. And just to speed up the reset, let's go ahead and change the property on this path. And I'm going to set the speed to the maximum of 300. Oops. There we go. And I'll leave it set at that for right now because we're going to test this thing a few times. So that reset the bridge. The button also reset the dual action trigger. So it'd be nice to have a little bit of audio. So I'm going to drop the sound effect generator off over here on the side, and we've looked at that in a previous episode also. First thing I want to do is come over to the target, because with Mickey's magic burst, it doesn't travel in a straight line. And so getting this thing to actually hit it can be tricky, and it's hard to know when it actually did. So we're going to come to the target and do a new logic connection when hit. We'll come over to the sound generator, and underneath the general category, if we scroll down a little ways, my favorite sound for this is ding. That just gives a nice clear sound that indicates that we hit the target. And I'll do the same thing for this one. That just helps me know that it actually worked. And I want to set the property on this sound generator to turn off the 3D sound at the speaker. And then let's also come over here, because the bridge isn't making any sound when it lowers. And so on the dual action trigger, not only will it lower the bridge, but when it's complete, we'll come to the sound generator. And under the general category, if we go down just a little bit, there's a clinking change sound that sounds pretty good. Okay, so now let's try to hit the target. That one worked. I can tell because that's flashing, but also I heard the ding. And you see that time it didn't work. So just to make this easier, I'll put down my power disc for Stitch's blaster. I thought we might need that. That makes it easy. And now the bridge is lowering, and you'll notice that sound effect didn't last the entire time. And so we're going to need another toy for that. There's no way to loop the sounds, so I'm going to put down a couple of time delayers, and those are right next door to the dual action trigger. And for the first one, under the properties, I'm going to set the delay time to 2 seconds. It's about how long that clinking chain sound is. And this one I'm going to set under the properties to be 4 seconds. And then we'll come to the dual action trigger, new logic connection on complete. We'll invoke the first time delayer to start the delay. And on that time delayer, new logic connection, when the delay is completed, come over to the sound generator and we'll play that clinking chain sound. And then we'll do the same thing for the other one. And so this is going to end up playing that clinking chain sound 3 times back to back. And that should be long enough for the bridge to go down. Oops. Clinking chains. There we go. And then let's hit the reset button. Okay, and then we'll try it one more time. And the dual action trigger is active. There we go. That worked out pretty good. So that's our bridge. Now let's go ahead and reset. And I want to play through the opening part of this toy box now in its entirety. And we'll see how it all comes together. So I'm going to come over here to my level starter. And I have this button over here hooked up for that. So we'll press that. That starts the brooms generating. And then we'll come back over here to the beginning, because the whole reason for this beginning was to give the brooms time to generate. Okay. So now Mickey would appear on the pad. The brooms should be generating. And Mickey would come over here. Shoot the first target. And it might take him a little bit longer if he's using his magic bursts. But Stitch's blaster goes a little quicker. So then the bridge opens, and I should probably set that speed on there back to 10 seconds. And then let's go ahead and take that blaster off. And down the stairs we go. And now Mickey sees brooms wandering back and forth. And now they're going to start attacking him. So our area up top successfully delayed the player and gave us time to generate all of the enemies. So Mickey's defeating the brooms because they're filling up this cistern with water. There we go. That's all the brooms. And now Mickey needs to lower the water because I got to get through this gate, and Mickey's going, "Whoa, what is that? I didn't create that, did I? Where'd he come from? This isn't good." But I got to have some way to activate that pump. So we're going to look around a little bit. And we find Grumpy over here behind this safety dome. I'll get you out, Grumpy. There we go. All right. Now I saved you. You're going to help me. I need you to fix this pump. So we toss him in, and the water drains, and now Mickey can get down, whoops, down inside the well. And we'll take the tunnel underneath, which gets us under the wall. Might be a good idea to hook up a sound effect to that sidekick door, just so that the player knows the pump is running. And there we go, took care of him. And now at this point, we can pick up the key and open up the gate. Okay, put a few more little finishing touches on this. We're going to come over to this sidekick wall door, and I'm going to do a new logic connection on the normal response returned. Not only will it drain that water, but since the player can't see it draining, more than likely, they should hear it. So we're going to come over to the sound generator, and under the general category, we'll scroll down, and I'm looking for the humming machinery sound. And we'll play that. And I think that'll solve that problem. And then we can go ahead and move all of these creativitoys out of here. Stick them around on the back side, oops, of this. Like that. Oop, not logic menu. And I'll leave that reset button there for now. And we should probably move the sound generator and those other two toys, but I'll do that offline. And the last thing you probably want to do, because right now this island looks a little barren, is to come down to the plants drawer, and we'll put a few these Dunbrock trees in here, just to kind of mix things up a little bit, make it a little bit more visually interesting. Don't need too many, but we need a little something. Then I'll come back over here and pick up these bushes. And we'll put one here, and one over here, like that. And that gives it a little bit more of a completed look. So I like that. And then the last thing we'll do, go ahead and reset the bridge. And I want to put the speed back on this path. Put that back at 10. There we are. So the first part of the castle interior is done. Next time we're going to start working on a brand new puzzle here in this garden area. Until then, I hope you enjoyed my video today, or at least found it helpful. If so, give it a like and leave a comment to let me know, and be sure to subscribe to my channel by clicking my photo, or you can click the follow button on my blog so you don't miss the next episode. That's all for me today. Take care.